Hi, it's Michael Ogechi Abbey with Enterprise Express Tax Service again. Today, this is a different topic. And the reason why it's different is because it really is about choosing a tax professional or a tax preparer, a CPA, or whatever the case may be. And I'm going to come at this from a few different angles. Of course, I am a tax professional, tax preparer, so I'm also bearing in mind that this is what I do, and hopefully you'll get something out of this. All right, so you're in the market for a new tax preparer, or it's your first time, or like I've seen a lot in the last couple of years, the person they're using is maybe unwell or has retired. That's been the case as well. Or you just want something different. You want to try someone different for whatever reason. Okay. You The best way is usually via referral. You want to ask around, talk to people that you know, friends, family, relatives, colleagues, and ask them who they use, why they use them, and why they think they are good at what they do. You also have to have your own realistic expectations. Don't think because your prior tax professional wasn't getting you a big refund, therefore the next person is supposed to. Actually, one of the things I'm going to say here is if you find a tax professional who guarantees you a larger refund, you probably want to run away from them because that there's so many things that could go wrong with that. One is there could be a criminal element where they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing. And the second is, there's no tax professional who can guarantee you. Actually, we sign a code of ethics with the Internal Revenue Service and the state, which states that we are not supposed to guarantee tax clients a certain, a large refund or a particular amount. It just doesn't work that way, and it's not supposed to work that way. Yes, we are supposed to maximize every effort that we can in order to make sure that you don't lose money. But that does not include having you do things that are clearly illegal. All right. So, referrals is probably the best number one option. The second option is to go online. And it's a lot easier these days because you see a lot of reviews. The reviews may tell different stories. Sometimes if you see reviews that are just too good, you may want to be a little bit suspect and, ask questions. By that I mean, call the tax professional's office, see if you can make an appointment with them, go in and talk to them. These days you can also do, like I do, Zoom appointments for initial appointments, and talk to the professional, tell them what you're expecting. And if it's an honest tax professional, they'll tell you if they can meet that expectation. Usually when I do first time interviews with prospective clients, I always ask what happened with your prior tax professional? Why are you, thinking about leaving them? And sometimes when they tell me what the reason is, and if I think it's something that I cannot match, I'll let them know. I'll say, hey, I don't think they were doing something wrong. It's possible that you may have had an expectation that cannot be met by myself or my office. And of course, it's up to them to decide if they want to continue with me or if they want to go back to their former, tax professional. So you definitely want to take, and then the other thing, you want to know if you have a connection. Human beings are wired a little bit differently. You may find that you don't have that connection with your prior tax office. Maybe they sold the practice and it's a new buyer, and the interaction is not quite what it was before. And you obviously want to check out someone new and find out if there's a better connection. And you can't discount that. I have clients that I've been with for the last 10 years, and we have a great connection, so much so that, when they come in to do their taxes, some of them don't actually have to come to the office. They just come because, we haven't seen each other for maybe a year, and we just want to catch up and talk family, talk sports, talk about different types of things. And so that connection is it's certainly very, very, very important when you're looking for a new tax professional. You want to clarify what their certifications, what their qualifications are. Are they CPAs? Now, with me saying that, you don't always need a CPA. All right, it's not always necessary. Is it good to have a CPA who's certified? Yes, but you know, a CPA is like, sometimes it's like taking a, I don't know what to use. You know, you're taking a lot of firepower, and you're going to pay for that firepower. If you have a tax professional who's certified or who's an accountant, okay, and who has experience in what they're doing, these days the IRS makes tax professionals take continuing education classes. All right, so you can find that out by asking them. You can go onto the IRS website. It does have a place on their website for people who are certified to a certain level. They may be what's called an enrolled agent, which is the IRS's top tier qualification for a tax professional who can represent you before the IRS. So an enrolled agent is very good. You may have what's called an annual seasoned certified tax professional. These are good as well because they are required by IRS mandates to take a certain level of IRS continuing education. They too can represent you before the IRS, but in a more limited manner, not like an enrolled agent can. And so there's certain different categories and classifications of tax professionals that are good and well qualified enough to help you out. The other thing that I was going to say, as you search, especially online, you want to find out what type of taxes, what type of experience, how much extensive experience they have with different types of taxes. Some offices have more experience with individual taxes. Some have more experience with business taxes, and some with other types of taxes. So you want to ask them how much percentage of taxes is individual, how much percentage is business, or do they just do both? That's an important question to ask, because if it's an accountant office or a tax professional office that does more individual returns, and it doesn't mean they're any less, it just means they have more experience in that. And if what you're doing is an individual return, then that will be a good place to be. Okay. So without covering too much ground, these are the basics of what you need to know if you are choosing a tax professional, if you're moving from another office to another office. A couple of things you just want to, make sure, do your research. Online referrals, of course, are the best. Online, a close second, because nowadays you can go online and check out the reviews, know where their offices are, one last thing. This is very important. You want to ask them about their security. What are the IRS now has specific security procedures for tax professionals in terms of safeguarding tax clients' information. The IRS requires every tax professional to have what's called a WISP plan, WISP. A WISP plan is a plan which the tax professional's office puts together, presents it before the IRS. It's supposed to be kept in the event the IRS comes and does an inspection, just making sure that everything is up to date. It's like things like, for instance, computer security is up to date. If it's a physical office, is the office locked when it's supposed to? How many people are in the office? What type of software enhancements do you have, or does that office have to protect data security? As this should be pretty obvious. Tax offices are a prime hacking target for people who want to get specific information about individuals, social security numbers, financial information, bank accounts. And so the IRS is very, very, very serious about this, about tax professionals keeping up to standard with what's required to keep customer data secure. So you definitely want to ask that. You want to ask, what are their procedures? Can they tell you what their procedures are? Obviously, tax office will not tell you their exact specific procedures because they don't know who's asking this, but they can give you a basic standard set of procedures which should convince you that they are on track with keeping customer data secure. And if you're not satisfied, let them know. They may, be willing to divulge some additional information. And you can just ask and say, hey, you're just asking, do they have a WISP plan? WISP. Do they have a WISP plan? And if they say yes, then you know that they're pretty much on the way to doing that. Okay. So once again, my name is Michael Ogechi-Abbey. The topic today was if you're looking for a tax professional, how to find one, questions to ask, to ensure that you get the best service. And sometimes also, you're also talking about, why do you actually have to move from one tax professional to another? It's not always necessary. And part of the discussion that I have with my, new prospective clients is I want to make sure if it's necessary, because if it's not, stick with who you know. I would like your business, but if it's not entirely necessary, I don't want to take business away from someone because you might come and be dissatisfied and then have to go back. And I certainly do not want to do that. Okay, so Michael Ogechi-Abbey. My office is Enterprise Express Tax Service, located in Bowie, Maryland, but we do taxes all over the entire 50 states. We do individual taxes, a lot of individual taxes, probably about 65% individual taxes, and then maybe 40% business taxes, but more individual. And we have, I would probably say in my office, maybe between 12 to 15 years experience in the tax preparation business. I used to work with the Comptroller of Maryland in different facets, different areas. So I do have experience on the tax administration side from the government end, and of course on the private end as well. But I'm always available. One more thing. If you appreciated this, short video, please click on the subscribe to the channel. We are trying to grow the channel, and click on the like button as well. All right. Have a blessed day or a blessed weekend, and you'll be seeing some more content from me in the very near future. Bye.